Chapter 6. Kaname, why are you hesitating? Isn't this every woman's secret dream? Mayway laughed. Kaname didn't answer. Well, never let an opportunity go away. My father says. Let's make this more fun. Mayway smiled a self-satisfied smile. Reginald, you get to live a little bit longer. That bed is as good at taking its good time to turn red. I must have only graced you. She shook her head, wondering how that could have happened. Walk over to Miss Chidori and take off her bra with your teeth. You know you want to. A rather risky idea came to Kaname, either out of a sense of modesty or a result of pure inspiration. So as Reginald stepped between her and Mayway, she jumped off the table and used the wealthy young man as a mobile shield, pushing her towards the gun-wielding girl. Kaname grudgingly gave Mayway credit. She was a quick thinker, quick to act too. The older girl threw herself to the floor, gun at the ray, giving herself an unrestricted line of fire. That should have been the end of Kaname, except for the fact that Jackson saw an opportunity to act and took it. He flung himself towards Mayway, who was thus forced to change targets. Having no choice, he pumped a pair of shots into the servant's chest and abdomen. Still dressed in only her undergarments, Kaname made good use of Mayway's predicament, leaving the room in a mad rush. She heard gunshots behind her. Mayway's voice yelled, "Bakio!" It sounded chasing Kaname's heels, even as the angry girl remained in the back room. This was Kaname's chance. It would be her only chance. What should Kaname think? She had to decide quickly. Should she go with the flow of scurrying people, or fight her way against the crowd? That way! She would go in the direction she had not seen yet, hoping there might be a good place to hide. If she was lucky, the frantic mass of partygoers would slow down Mayway or cause her to search in the other direction. Sosuke's next kill was simple. It occurred on automatic. One of his unseen antagonists had found a claymore-like mine. It had done him significant degree of harm and caused him to stagger into the kill zone of a jumping mine. His remains were not a pretty sight. Few facial features were recognizable. Sosuke estimated the corpse to have been of Oriental descent. Most likely, Piek Gyung-kwan. He should have stuck with smuggling and espionage. Another mine went out in distance. Jumper. Yet another detonator. Claymore. There was no way for him to know whether or not either mine had proved effective. They could easily been triggered by a clever soldier. 2 more mines exploded over the next few minutes, one of each. At the very least, he pinpointed the places where at least one enemy had been temporary, near the center of the large arena. Carefully peering around the corner, flanked by a large wooden crate filled with parchment paper and spools of twine, Sosuke heard the faintest sounds behind him. Quickly, he stopped within a short, narrow crevice between rows of stacked boxes. Not a moment too soon. A man of Arabic complexion, most likely Mahid al-Mugasi, carefully made his way along the path Sosuke had just walked. His early model Soviet submachine gun at the ready. More movement. A second enemy. His back turned towards Sosuke. Walked along the elevated structure, holding one of the large conveyor belts. It was only intermittently visible, seen through the cracks between the building fragments and large shipping enclosures. The near man would have needed to go first. It would have been kind of a quiet kill, unless he gave away his position while he was still in a less than optimal location. As it was, there was still the possibility that he was under the scrutiny of an as-yet unidentified observer, or soon could be after any gunshot. He could not afford to be pinned down in his current locale. Ever so quietly, movements hidden, he unzipped his bag, removing a telescopic blowgun. He extended the weapon to its full length. Opening a small leather wallet, he unscrewed the top of a small vial. He grasped a small tough dart by the feathers, tipping its point in the glass container. Nerve, he thought, remembering one of Rainsford's ways of stealing himself. Holding his breath, he placed the dart into the bowgun ever so carefully. Swiftly, with an economy of motion, he brought the weapon to his lips, sighted, and blew hard with a trance explosive breath. The dart flew straight and true, and embedded itself in the side of the unsuspecting man's neck. With a gun of surprise, he started to bring his hand up, intending to remove the small projectile. He moved very little before stopping, falling to the ground in an awkward position. Cone shells. Marine snails, prized for their intricately designed shells, produce a potent neurotoxin that allowed them to immobilize their much quicker prey. Conus geographics, the geopharma cone, produces the most potent toxin. Delivered in a dose that Sosuke had applied, it caused near instant paralysis, respiratory failure, and cardiac arrest. Sosuke shook his head. Kurtz and Melissa had made fun of his little toy. He judged it to be an unqualified success. Time to leave concealment. Carefully. Very carefully. Just because he knew the location of the other target, he could not afford to grow even the slightest bit careless. Sosuke moved like a flowing shadow, keeping to less well-lit avenues of approach, eyes always scanning the path ahead of him and behind him. It was the longer of 3 possible routes, but he felt confident it was the prudent choice. Before stepping out into the open, he took a small mirror on a flexible wand out of his bag. After ejecting various directions from an assortment of angles, he felt confident enough to move onward. Bringing his binoculars to his eyes, he spotted his quarry. The man, most likely of African descent, walked at the far end of the conveyor belt, facing away from Sosuke. Mr. Madarana, I presume. His one side was bloody and dragged one foot. Perhaps he triggered one of the mines. This is dangerous. Sosuke thought, I'll be exposing myself for a while. Still, it was worth a risk. If he were not seen, this trick would not pinpoint his locations the way the gunshots would. The man was out of range of the bow gun. This would work instead. Sosuke left his bag on the ground behind him, holding his last 2 jumping mines. He climbed up into the wooden structure, crawling on his belly onto the conveyor belt. Both mines were placed upright for the remote detonation and sent their way. Safely back under cover, with a good view of the far end of the mechanical contrivance, he marked the progress of the 2 patient interpreting explosive devices, one located a few feet behind the other. He zoomed in on his enemy's face. Good. The man looked unaware so far. When his minds neared the end of their long straight journey, Sosuke switched twice. The man's face looked inquisitive first, the curiosity soon replaced by a look of recognition and panic. 2 mines jumped out of their plastic enclosures, traveling to 2 different preset heights. At their apex, they detonated, sending a fisted spread of shrapnel raining down on the ex-member of the SADF, severing his threat on life. Scratch another off the list. The next few moments felt like an eternity to Sosuke. He felt an illogical upwelling of combat paranoia, certain that all eyes would turn to him. Avoiding his own traps, he crept along the path he judged to be the safest. Soon enough, he changed his approach. It was time. He would seek out the 2 remaining men. Focused, he sought any available clue. After making his way halfway around the central mechanized area of the great room, Sosuke took of a prickling sensation at the back of his neck. One of his senses must have picked up some hint of danger. Long since learned to place all of his trust in that kind of feeling. Placing his night-facing goggles on, toggled to infrared, he stepped into a place of deep cover. After making certain it was unoccupied devoid of obvious booby traps, his small mirror flashed a brief glimpse of movement, off to the right. Sosuke inched forward on his belly and raised the binoculars to his eyes again. Subtle. Very subtle. He had been fortunate to catch sight of that motion. Keeping low to the ground, someone was moving towards the area he had found the tarps and pits in. There was another trail that would lead Sosuke to the same area, more likely than not getting him there first. Time to move. In little time, he found himself in a thin-walled crate with convenient preparations on the side. Soon thereafter, he saw a man lean slightly out of concealment, a FAMAS rifle barely visible in his hand. That would be the ex-legionnaire, Jean-Pierre Delaire. How good are you, sir? Would you be so kind as to step out into the open? By a stroke of good fortune, at least for Sosuke, the Frenchman complied with Sosuke's silent list. Wait, a bit more. Nodding his head, Sosuke pushed the switch upward, detonating a small cast of plastic explosive, sending a huge tower of scrap metal on a slow but inexorable course towards the ground. None of the falling debris would strike his adversary, unless he blundered into his path. No, it would limit his choice of movement, maybe even hurt the man at the direction that Sosuke thoughtfully chosen for him. Perfect! The results were just what Sosuke had hoped for. Not wanting undue attention drawn to the area of the terrible racket before he could vacate the premises, the one-time deserter ran towards the nearest point of concealment. No. Right! Never mind. Clear shot. I'll take that first. Sosuke concentrated shot bursts of semi-automatic fire at the retreating form, grazing his arms and legs. Not a kill shot, but it served Sosuke's purposes nonetheless, sending a man towards a series of enclosures on the right. Sosuke ran after his prey, firing his F-2000 as he closed the distance. He scored another hit on the man's lip, causing him to stumble but not fall. Yes, take the quickest route to cover. A rabbit with the hounds at sight of his heels, the wounded man had little time to examine the environment in front of him. Stepping into a dirt-covered tarp, he fell into one of the concealed pits. Wanting to be certain, Sosuke pulled the pin on a fragmentation grenade, tossing the small bomb into the pit. One more to go. Are you okay, Kaname? Finally, things are looking up. Sort of. Kaname was counting her blessings. No, she did not consider herself to be fortunate to be trapped here in this insane den of depravity. Likewise, it was not her fondest dream to be running around, barely clad amongst the crowd of strangers. But no one had made any attempt to take advantage of her rather vulnerable condition, and she had no further sign of Mei Wei, Reginald, or any of the recognizable associates. You there, have you seen a half-naked woman come this way? Tell me! Obviously, Kaname had spoken much too soon. It was Mei Wei's voice. Galvanized in accent, Kaname put all of her energy into looking for a place to hide and something to use as a weapon. Yes, that'll do nicely. A large grill area was completely abandoned. The cooked fire still smoldering away. Large skewers of meat and vegetables lay roasting over the coals. Pitchers of beer, wine, sangria littered the polished wooden countertop. There's still a chance. Oh, and a mirrored pillar there, just in the right spot. I can duck behind the bar and still have a good view of the bits as he comes this way. Yes, comes too close, lights out. Kaname smiled. It'd be wonderful to add Mei Wei to the grill. Get real, this is not a game. I'll be lucky just to survive. Too late. She realized a simple but crucial fact. If she could see Mei Wei in the mirror from one angle, there was a very good chance that Mei Wei could see her from a different angle. Her fears were too soon realized. Hungry, are we, Kaname? Oh, I thought you added too much meat to the bones of yours already. Mei Wei sounded rather pleased with herself. I suppose the Gadam deserved their last meal. Take a bite or two if you like. I'm feeling rather charitable. I can wait a few more moments. All right, sis, here we go! Carson piloted his M9 right onto the roof of the warehouse building. Melissa's M9 was on the ground below him, standing near the wall that was closest to Sosuke's current position. Both armed slaves moved in near synchrony, bringing their mononuclear cutters into position. Sparks flew like glowing fountain sprays as the powerful devices cut through their steel and pig iron. Needless to say, Junior, shoot first and accept surrender second. Can't afford to trust anyone until Sosuke is safe and sound. After that, it's your choice whether or not you want to stick with any of the statutes of the Geneva Convention. You fat that's it, babe. I'll be going in guns blazing. Oh yeah, party time! If you want blood, you got it! Settle down, shithead. Don't get too crazy now. We don't want to hit Sosuke. You want to try to explain something like that to Kaname? Oh, really? You think? You're such a great teacher. I've never thought that on my own. Beer must be really good brain food. Kurtz was not in a mood to be lectured. Oh, sing it with me, sensei! You want blood? You got it. Blood on the streets. Your ass is going to be brain food waiver. The only decision I make is whether I should carve up French toast or roast it first. Stop all the bullshit and get in there already! Curtis laughed. He was ready to rock and roll. Sadly, I don't remember much of You've Got Blood. Do everything you can to clean up the mess. Peeling back a large cut of roofing, Kurtz looked down the arena. Sensors fully operational and appropriately set. He located Sosuke's position quickly, slaving his optics to the transponder signal. Working the controls, he zoomed in, seeing his friend in the middle of a gun battle with a single enemy. Would Sosuke be more pissed if I let him die or get wounded? Or take out that guy for him? That's easy. Better do it anyway. Swaying to both forwards of position, Kurtz fired off 4 rounds and started rapidly. Sosuke's opponent was torn asunder by the well-placed 57mm of high-energy rounds. Seeing Sosuke look up in his direction, Kurtz manipulated his right arm Waldo, having his M9 give the younger soldier a thumbs-up sign. Scanning the room for other small heat signatures indicating of people, Kurtz was disappointed. No more targets. Shit! Sasuke must have been up to his old tricks again. Too damn efficient. Never enough concerned about the feelings of his squad mates. Kurt saw Sasuke reach into a bag, unwind something, and place it on his head. Microphone, no doubt. Sure enough, a message came through. Kaname, what do we know about Kaname? Sasuke sounded winded. Hey, Sasuke, old chum. Is that the way you thank me for saving your tail? After putting up with crap from Mal? Kurt was his usual self. When he finished his jives, he dropped his M9 carefully into the ground, landing with a jarring thud. Say, Weber, before I nail it closed. Melissa's voice was rather fierce at first, but soon softened as he spoke to Sasuke. We don't know anything yet, Sasuke. I'm changing from your transponder frequency to her bracelet signal. So he moved her arm slowly to stand next to the other M9. A few moments later, the large mecha lifted his arm and pointed towards one direction of the building expanse. So he's in that direction. Sergeant Major Mal, those large mirror panels at the top of each walls are reflective coating of the windows. I suggest you and Sergeant Weber use the arm slave's fists as battering rams, gaining access to the area beyond. Sasuke turned to stare in the direction Melissa's M9 had pointed. First, I would appreciate it if someone could gain entrance for me. Let me up and put me down in Kaname's vicinity. Oh yeah, time to be breaking some glass and kicking some ass! Kurt sounded rather wound up. He was having altogether way too much fun. Anybody who moves is bad. If you're not Kaname, dressed as a fireman, or one of our assault suits. Right, babe? That's what I've been told, Sergeant. What the bloody F are you waiting for? Get that useless heap of movement metal moving! Sasuke watched as Kurtz's M9 ran out towards the nearest wall, started to climb when it reached the pyramid of industrial supplies. Climb up, Sasuke. Show for your service for one. Destination Kaname. A few moments later, the young sergeant found himself sitting in the giant palm of Melissa's arm slave. He grabbed a hold of one of the large finger of the squad leader, climbed up to the side of the wall in question. He covered his head with his arms when he directed her M9 to swing the butt of its portable cannon out the window. Shit, that stuff's mighty tough. Gotta try something different. The Mecha dropped his 57mm and took out a mononuclear cutter again. Running the humming cutter along the top of the window area, the M9 created a dense cloud of glass shards and metallic dust. Alright, Sasuke, get ready. I'm gonna pull some of that crap down. Make a stairway out of the ASSR when I'm done. Hold your ass as soon as you can! When he saw his opportunity, Sasuke moved. Explosives in various areas of the roof gave access to men in uniforms. What did it all mean? Was this some special branch of the police? The JSDF? A private military force of one of her father's competitors? Mayway had no clue, but it did not bode well. Better make this quick. So he started walking towards Kaname's place of hiding, freezing in place when she went down the arena. Two armed slaves suddenly seemed to appear out of thin air. Curiouser. How did they do that? Better yet, why were they here? As he watched, one pointed in their direction, as he saw Sosuke Sakura climb up on his outstretched hand, then advance in the direction. Was someone going to try and kidnap her? Or was he intent to kill her? She almost ran into the end of the far room when a giant knife-like weapon pushed through the wall, parting the arena, its chainsaw-like edges moving way too fast for the invisible teeth. Over there! That woman has a gun! The masculine voice behind her. That man possessing a voice might try to stop her. Anyway, rushed to throw herself towards Kaname. She needed to get this done while she still could. Her left leg still crumbled beneath her. She had been shot. She fell hard against the side of the bar, bruising her cheek and splitting her lip. Her gun clattered to the floor. Leave that one. Come with me. There's a group of armed men held up in the room over there. Another soldier spoke to the first, convincing him to move on and pressing business. Mayway smiled. The thought of Kaname cowering behind the bar, going after her gun. She couldn't resist one final barb. Kaname, dearest, this will be the crowning glory of my night. Even better than seeing Sasuke shot in the head. Oops. There I go, ruining surprise. You couldn't see that down there, could you? That's it! More than enough. God help you bits if it's true. Kaname grabbed a pitcher of sangria in one hand, stepped over the grill, and grabbed a blackening skewer of food. In full speed, he ran straight at Mayway, seeing her bend over to retrieve her pistol. Gotta swing for the fences. All or nothing, Kaname. Kaname's athleticism proved to be the difference between victory and defeat. before Mayway could bring her gun up all the way. Her erstwhile victim swung the pitcher with all her strength, rather than tossing the contents in his girl's face as he originally planned. The handle of the pitcher broke off under the force of the blow, along with some of Mayway's pearly whites. The other girl fell hard to the floor, gun still in hand. Some things make a lasting impression. Kaname would never forget the feel or sound what came next, no matter how hard she tried. Before Mayway could bring her gun to bear, Kaname followed up her initial strike with another, thrusting the skewer deep into the prone girl's abdomen, resulting in a scream of pain sent shivers down her spine. She felt faint. Hang tough, Kaname. She dropped the gun, looking down at the agonized look on her tormentor's face. Kaname did not know whether to feel relief or disappointed. Mayway was still alive. She didn't know she could bring herself to take any further action. Drop your weapon! Step away from the woman with your hands on your head! Kaname complied immediately, turning slowly. A soldier in Mithril uniform stood 5 yards away, rifle leveled at his chest. Mithril! You're Mithril! I'm a friendly! Intent on convincing the soldier and the 2 troops who joined him, Kaname made the mistake of taking her foot off Mayway's gun. Suddenly she saw the soldier swing his rifle lower. She saw Mayway's gun. The soldier would be too late. Gunshots rang out from behind Kaname. Mayway's head exploded in a revolting spray of brain matter and skull fragments. The girl's pistol fired, and missing her intended victim. Turning, Kaname saw Sosuke. Mithril soldiers were busy rounding up their captives, and intensely running groups of them off to waiting vehicles. There wasn't too much time before the real police and fire companies should show up. Yes, they were currently busy with harmless diversions that Mithril operatives have set off elsewhere, but a small trickle of genuine and official forces could arrive at any time. Kaname knew she should come up for air, but she did not care if she passed out, as long as she was in Sosuke's arms. Their kiss had been fierce! Tears running down her face, she found herself speaking the obvious. Sosuke, you're still alive! Obviously, Kaname. As are you, I am happy to see. Sosuke felt weak with relief. Happy? Really? How happy? Her eyes held longing, but also impending danger. She stepped away from Sosuke. Very much so. How could it be otherwise? You know how much I care about you. Yes, Sosuke, but a girl needs to hear that over and over and over. She stopped her foot. As he'd been over this before, she kicked him in the shin, but soon pulled his arm back around herself. I love you, Kaname. Sosuke knew the right thing to say at the moment. He still continued in that vein. Why are you dressed like that, Kaname? In a great rush of emotions he experienced when he realized Kaname was safe, Sosuke had somehow overlooked her state of undress until now. Yeah, remember, it's gonna be until they're wed before Sosuke goes into crazy territory when she dresses someone in their school uniform. The satisfied look on Kaname's face soon became replaced by anger. Sosuke! I suffer indignity, piled on top of embarrassment, face physical trials and tribulations, nearly meet my end, and you ask about my clothes? You! Yes, Kaname, you know I love you, but I do not know why you're dressed like that. It's typical Sosuke logic. We should find your clothes. A number of Mithril soldiers approached Sosuke, passing along information about the current situation. By the time they had finished, Kaname's boil had been reduced to a simmer. We'll need to move quickly, Kaname. It would be unfortunate to be in this building when the police forces arrive. Especially if you are near naked. At that moment, he received a transmission from Melissa. He turned and saluted the 2 arm slaves out in the arena. Watching their ECS were engaged in a blurred to the fact of visibility. My things are in that room. Kaname's voice had a really sharp edge to it. The 2 of them walked towards the indicated room. Sosuke moved with a slow measured gait and limp. Kaname strode with exaggerated swings of her arms and a chip on her shoulder. Mithril operatives were leading a line of captives to the hallway. Kaname stopped at the sight of one particular person. A large slap could be heard across the room. You bastard! Kaname yelled, overcome by negative emotions. She kneed Red's a little hard in the groin. Oh! I hope you burn in hell for the things you made me do. But Kaname, my sweet, it was only good fun. Naturally, I would never have... Renzel was not able to finish his unconscious assurances. Who's this man, Kaname? Sosuke had interrupted Renzel, having no interest in what the other man is saying. What did he do to you? Were you in some kind of danger because of him? Sosuke's eyes were angrier than Kaname had ever seen before. He was standing up for her armor. her heart filled with love and pride. Before Kaname could answer, Retzel's pride and overconfidence proved his undoing. What the two of us shared is not as important as what could occur in the future. His voice a forced tone of bravado, and otherwise unwise hand of innuendo. My father and I are very powerful people. When word of all this gets out, neither you or the delectable Miss Tittery will be safe, unless I want you to be. Reginald actually smiled, despite the throbbing pain in his right knee. You could both disappear just as easily as the others did. Sosuke stood rock still for a few moments, his eyes narrowed. He clenched and unclenched his hand, the feel of bow still about him. We will continue this conversation in private. Kaname flinched. Sosuke's voice was so flat and lifeless. What do you intend to do? Corporal, I will interrogate this man. He may well know its secret hiding places used by the elite. Take the remaining prisoners to the vehicles in accordance with proper instructions. The crowded group of club members looked stricken at the word prisoners, finally realizing the depth of their troubles. Sosuke, what are you doing? Why are we going back into the room? Kaname was obviously uncomfortable, but this was more concerned about whatever Sosuke had in mind. It took her a moment before she remembered her clothes. What exactly did he do, Kaname? And is he as dangerous as he claims? Sosuke listened patiently as Kaname told him everything that had happened, so he passed along everything he had learned about Reginald and his father that night. Blushing, she gathered up her blouse, skirt, and shoes and put them back on. When Reginald tried to interject, Sosuke silenced him with a brief but brutal pistol whipping. Kaname put her hand to her mouth. She'd never seen Sosuke quite like this before. Kaname, you will want to leave the room now. You are in great danger. The prisoner is about to make a grab for the gun. Sosuke put a fresh clip into his Glock. Both Kaname and Reginald stared, slack-jawed, before becoming aware precisely of what Sosuke's statement implied. No! You can't do this! You can't just put me down like I'm some kind of dangerous animal! Reginald's voice had gone up a few octaves. Muscles tightened. He was about to make a run for it. Sosuke grabbed a limb of a nearby table and clouded the young man across the jaw with it, sending him sprawling to the floor. Sosuke was Ranger's avatar now. He needed to finish the game. Reginald may not have been Stardoff before. For all intents and purposes, he was Stardoff now. In the short story, the immoral rusted general may have let his prey go, seeing that Rainsford survived the game. In all likelihood, he could not have allowed the secret of his island to reach the international authorities. Rainsford could not take that risk. He hadn't even bothered worrying about the risk, still caught in the fever of his life and death struggle. He had been filled by the spirit of the beast. Sosuke, please don't. Kaname did not want to be here. She did not want to see this. As he stayed in the room, will he still go through with it? He is a great danger to you, Kaname. He may be a serious danger to the organization. Sosuke did not look at Kaname. He would not make the mistake he had made with Gowron. Letting him live when he surrendered cost two fine soldiers. It took 2 more comrades out of his life. On the bright side, you get to shoot him in the fucking head in the second raid. Those led to the destruction of the Danan. Some dangers are too great. Kaname's life had risk enough as it was. I know, Sosuke. I can accept that. Kaname stared at the pistol in Sosuke's hand. Will you shoot Reginald in cold blood? I cannot. Sosuke threw Mayweather's pistol to the Reginald. The young man did not look so full of himself. Sosuke held his own pistol down his side. Was that the game? What was the game? Yes, you have 1 minute. Kaname fought back to her dancing. She wanted something like this to happen. Now, come close and real, she didn't seem so desirable. Seeing only one chance to live, Reginald brought the gun up as quickly as he could. A single gunshot echoed around the room. Reginald's blood began pulling around his lifeless form. For a moment, Kaname stared at Sosuke as he'd never seen him before. Did that really happen? Is this some kind of bad dream? It came to her. The fact that this Sosuke had always been there. Underneath, a redness was violent upbringing. She was torn between feelings of disbelief, horror, and fear, sympathy. She began to understand what his confessions about his actions under the medicines truly meant. You may very well grow to hate me now, Kaname, Sosuke said quietly, correctly protecting her thoughts. I knew that before I pulled the trigger. Nothing's more important than your life. Nothing. The gun fell from his hand. Sosuke, Tears welled up in Kaname's eyes. There was sorrow in Sosuke's voice. Great sorrow and pain, but no regret. I love you, Kaname. That will never change. No matter how you feel about me. I had to do things today that will probably haunt me for a long time, if not forever. He tensed, closing his eyes. I told you before. You've given me a conscience. Before you, I never carried such a heavy burden. It is worth it, however, for the time I got to spend with you. Kaname's heart skipped a beat. Time he spent with me? Spent? As in past tense, with no future tense? What exactly was he saying? Sasuke. Kaname, I had already written myself off as expendable today. All that mattered to me was that you may be saved again. By all rights, I should be food for the crows now. If I am dead to you, I must learn to accept it. Kaname stood still a moment, her heart pounding and mind abuzz. Closing her teeth, she ran to the sullen Mithrilites and slapped him hard across the face. There was a message that she needed to get through to the big idiot. I deserved that, Kaname. You sure do, you big jerk, moron, stupid head! So he had to fight the Ursa kicker repeatedly. The Sasuke I love wouldn't stand here, head hung, giving up. He would fight for me! She knew there would be issues for her to work through, but the core of her feelings was intact. Kaname. Sosuke stood staring at her, waiting for her next words. Aside from the blood, grease, and smears of dirt and dust, he looked just like any other teenage boy. But he was a cold-blooded killer, ruthless when he had to be, willing to do whatever was necessary to assure Kaname's safety. Kaname looked down, her emotions spinning out of control. She could deal with him now after all this. Does she really want to? What might happen tomorrow, next week, a year from now? She asked herself those questions for completeness' sake. She needed to be fair to herself and Sosuke. The answer was obvious, however, despite all that had happened, and in some small way, because of all that had happened. She challenged Sosuke with some strong words. How could she simply give up now? It was not a fairy tale. It was far from a perfect world. But Sosuke fought with everything he had to make sure she remained a part of that world. Kaname walked over to Sosuke, took his hand in hers, and placed it over her heart. Kaname, Sosuke got sick. The true nature of his actions come to roost. Sosuke, if you had died today, I don't know if I would have wanted to go on living. Kaname's eyes were filled with tears. I see. Sosuke's look was unreadable. It was a good thing I survived then. He found himself falling to the floor. Kaname dragged over him, her hands caressing him fiercely. Kaname, there's no time for this now. We should leave while we can. The young soldier looked at a pair of large eyes filled with unconditional love. Shut up, Sasuke. Time for the review. This was awesome. This is glorious. But I love Full Metal Panic. I love it for showing basically what would happen if you gave Hiro Yui from Gundam more humanity. I love Kaname. I love seeing that this girl who grew up on action flicks has to deal with what a real soldier's like. I like how the novels try to explain, okay, this is why we're using mecha now, even though in the real world they're kind of improbable. I love Sosuke and Kaname's relationship. I support their romance. And this thing just played along with it. I love Sosuke's actions. They were very true to the character. Kaname's character was very nice and wasn't brought down any. The scenario felt believable. And it was just good all around. I really cannot think too much to complain about. The jerk characters I despised died, and that was it. Well, I think I'll do some Mazinger next. Before I move on to either Pony or a certain Star Wars fic I've been meaning to finish. See you next time.